If you know anything about Sonic fan fictions, you probably know that they kind of have a bad reputation for having generic plots, being overly edgy, and, well, not really being good. And to an extent, a lot of those stereotypes are true. But if you know me and you've looked at my channel, you probably know that I like to find the good in Sonic fan content. In my original video reviewing Super All-Star Bros, I mentioned another Sprite series that completely changed my perspective on what a Sprite animation could be. And that Sprite animation is Freedom Fighters. Now, Freedom Fighters is kind of the opposite of Super All-Star Bros. The animation is really good, don't get me wrong, but it's not overly animated and frame by frame animated like Super All-Star Bros is. However, where Super All-Star Bros lacked in plot and had some character inconsistencies, Freedom Fighters takes things to a whole new level. The story in Freedom Fighters is absolutely amazing. It combines Sonic and Freedom Planet in a way that literally feels like an official crossover. There are teasers, twists, and just the right amount of edginess without going too far. I'll admit, Super Mario Bros. Z, Sonic RPG, Super All-Star Bros, they're all amazing, but at the same time, their plots can get a little bit over edgy. Especially Sonic RPG. Oh my god. And not in a, oh, this is too much for me kind of way, but more like a way where it just kind of feels weird or cringe. Sonic is not a franchise that has characters that are supposed to swear a lot. Is it funny sometimes? Not really, kind of, I guess, but it really doesn't fit the tone or the characters because that's not how they were originally intended to talk. Freedom Fighters, on the other hand, is an absolute love letter to both franchises. I've said it once, and I'll say it again, Freedom Planet 1 and 2 are probably some of the best games I've ever played. They feature amazing characters, an awesome narrative, and gameplay unlike anything I've ever experienced. So, now that I've hyped it up enough, let's get into Freedom Fighters. Okay, so starting off, I do want to establish some ground rules before we actually get into the story analysis. The first thing is when we get to the second episode of Freedom Fighters, we're going to be going over the dub. One, this makes it easier for me as if there's text on the screen that I want to point out, I can just play the video and it makes it easier for me ahead of time. And two, the dub is really good. I highly recommend, if you haven't watched this, go watching the dub, because it is a really good dub. And if you're wondering why I didn't use the dub when I was covering Super All-Star Bros, it's because, straight up, I didn't like it. Like, no offense to anyone who worked on it, I just didn't really vibe with it that well. But this dub is really good. So we'll get into that later on, but right now we're covering the first episode, which does not have a dub. So here we go. So again, starting off, we get some text between two characters. Now, I'm not going to dissect this text yet. I will go over it later because I do have a theory of who these two characters are, as it's not clear to us who is talking at this moment. But I think I know who it is, and I think it's a really strong hunch of who it is, and I'm pretty sure I'm right. Like, I'm 90% sure I know who it is, but I'm not going to say it yet. We're going to wait until later. So we start off in some sort of room facility kind of thing, and sirens are going off, and then we see Shadow get knocked back, and then we see the other characters that will be prominent during the series. And then we get a text box with an outline that we're totally very clueless on who this could be, saying weak, pathetic. Man, totally don't know who this could be, man. This is a total mystery to me. Then we see his feet, and yeah, just total mystery of who this could be. Really don't know. Really on the edge of my seat here. Really don't know who this could possibly be. But he says, "You've done nothing but waste my time. Thankfully, I'm in no rush." Yeah, really don't know who this could be. It's a total mystery. Like, scientists to this day still cannot guess who this character is. Then he turns to Eggman, cowering in the corner, really pulling that Sonic Force's tails right there. Really giving a taste of his own medicine. I wonder if that was on purpose, because honestly, this would be a great callback. And the mysterious figure says to hand them over. Eggman is really distressed, saying that we don't know the consequences of combining the two, and the mysterious figure is really just not having it, man. He really just wants those dang Chaos Emeralds. And then right as Infinite threatening Eggman, saying that he'll end up like the rest, Eggman pulls out the Glock and shoots him. Like, bro, first in IDW, now here. What is in Eggman just having a Glock on hand? I love it though. Though if I'm gonna be honest, I don't know why Eggman did that, because Infinite is already ready to clap back. Like, bro, that was useless, my guy. Why even try? Yes, I'm just gonna call him Infinite. I'm tired of saying Shadow Figure. Then Infinite just starts laughing, bro. Like, he just starts cackling, bro. Like, Infinite, bro, you need to calm down. It's just the Chaos Emeralds, my guy. And then, because Infinite interacted with the Chaos Emeralds, it opened a portal. Now, where does this portal go? Well, you can probably guess, but we get the title, and that is where the intro happens. And then after the portal opens, we get the title. Now, honestly, as far as intros go, that was great. It's a great hook. It's got everything you need. Now, I do wish it wasn't as secretive of who Infinite's identity was, because you obviously know that that is Infinite. So, not much of a secret there, but as far as everything goes, it was perfect. Literally no issues there. And then we cut to Carol sleeping on the couch. Now, this is a total tonal shift, but honestly, I love it when this happens. You get the nice intro into a nice tonal shift. That's what you need. And Carol's asleep watching TV, and she's watching the thing that they were watching in Freedom Planet when Mila first joined.
I've got to save the world. I've got to save Avalis.
It's actually kind of funny that she's watching that. That means she's watching a movie she already watched. Maybe she just likes the movie. Who knows? Lilac and Mila come out from the other room and say that they're going outside, and they ask Carol if she wants to come with, only to find out that she's asleep. Then Lilac says, how does she sleep for half a day and still get tired? And then Mila starts to head outside, but Lilac is up to some devious activities. Like, she is up to some devious activities. I guess that Lilac really wants to get her get back for Carol waking her up in the first game, because bro, she is just plotting these activities, man. You already know what's about to happen. And then Lilac gets cross-eyed for a minute, and they start plotting to wake her up. I thought Mila was a good dog, but no, apparently Lilac still has to be that thief mentality, man, being a jerk for no reason. By the way, while all this is happening, we're getting Mario and Luigi music, which I am totally down for. I love me some Mario and Luigi. It's awesome. Love me some Mario Luigi. Brothership can go jump off a cliff, though. Then Mila asks how they're gonna get her up, and Lilac does the most devious face I've ever seen in my life. Like, bro, you look like a Methea, bro. Like, you need to chill out, my guy. Then Lilac says to go wait by the door and to trust her. And then Lilac jump scares Carol awake. Like, even prepared and everything, cleared her throat, and then screamed it at the top of her lungs. Then Carol is obviously freaking out, and then Lilac says it's Nira, she's coming. Now, if you know anything about Freedom Planet lore, you'll know that Lilac and Carol didn't used to be best buds with Nira, let's just say that. When Carol asks why she's coming, Lilac says, I don't know. Like, bro, you didn't even think that far ahead. Lilac says that they gotta hide their crystal shard stash before she gets here. Like, bro, y'all really used to be criminals like that, though. They said we gotta hide the evidence before we get locked up in bars again. Then Mila decides to join the bit and says she's almost here, we need to hurry. Like, bro, poor Carol. I'd be so mad at these people, man. And then Carol's like, all right, I'm on it. But then it only takes her about 2 seconds to realize, wait, we're not criminals anymore. Now, to be fair, that was rude, but also, Carol, you could have thought like at least a little bit because, bro, use some of your brain power. I know, you know, when you wake up, you don't really got much of that brain power, but at least you could have used some of it. Then Lilac and Mila start busting out laughing, and Carol is just sitting there seething right now. Like, bro, she is seething. Then Carol literally goes to attack them. Like, bro, you need to chill. It was just a prank, bro. But right before she gets to swing on him, the TV starts playing that 6 individuals came out of a portal and that it's recommended to stay inside as they could be a danger. And then this is what I'm talking about with good writing. Carol immediately says, well, guess we gotta stay inside. Like, bro, this is what I'm talking about. This is the Carol I know. This is what I wanted. Some nice, awesome, perfect writing. When I'm saying that this series is perfectly written, I mean this series is perfectly written. Then Lilac is like, come on, Carol, we gotta go help. And then eventually Carol says, all right, let's go. Then we cut to Tails scouting out the area and Amy asking if he sees anything, which he doesn't. No civilization in sight, which honestly, they got pretty unlucky of where they got dropped off. Like, Dragon Valley is probably the most empty area in the entirety of the Freedom Planet, I guess. Then Sonic starts to get up and asks where they are, and then Eggman says, that's a great question, Sonic. Then Eggman says something really interesting. He says that the electric... Oh god, I gotta say this for... Oh, this is a dyslexia nightmare. Okay. He says that the electromagnetic waves are nothing like how they are on Mobius or Earth, which that means that in this series, we're going off of the two worlds theory, which nowadays in modern day Sonic canon is considered not a thing anymore, but back when this came out, this was probably the most popular theory, and I believed it for a while, but nowadays it's not really a thing anymore. So interesting to see if it continues to be a thing or if it's going to get retconned. And then Sonic starts to get mad but can't because he's too injured. Like, bro, what did Infinite do to you, bro? He's like really knocked out compared to everyone else. And then Eggman and Tails start arguing. Tails mentions that now that Monster is here with us, which probably implies Infinite. Then Eggman claps back saying, now don't you dare try to be the hero here, while Sonic is just continuously dying. Then Eggman says, after all, we wouldn't be in this mess if you hadn't let all of blank, and then Amy cuts off. Now, this is an ongoing trend where they try to mention that Tails did something, but they refuse to say what it was. Still, to this day, now that episode 2 is out, we do not know what he did. And then Eggman's like, are we done now? Tails nods his head yes. And then he's like, alright, let's get moving. And then Tails tries to lift up Sonic to find help, and then a missile comes out of nowhere and it hits him right in the back. And then we just see one little tiny little fodder cannon shooter. Now, these things in Freedom Planet are literally the first enemy you fight, so Amy isn't really that concerned about it. And then we see a giant horde of them. And then Amy questions if they're Eggman's robots, but Eggman says he's never seen them in his life. Us, the viewer, we know to take his word for it, but I'm surprised that Amy takes his word for it so easily, but I don't think she really wants to argue right now. And then Amy says that there's 2 of us and that they can take them, but Eggman forgot his Glock. Come on, man. Eggman, you're known for having that Glock. That's like my favorite part, and you just don't have it? Are you kidding me? So then Amy goes to fight him herself. And then Amy starts actually taking care of some of them, but then right as she's actually doing really well, she gets hit with a missile immediately. Like, bro, really? 1 missile and that's all it takes? I guess they're already hurt from coming out of the portal, so that's probably why. Then for the second time this episode, we got Eggman in the fetal position, really feeling the consequences of making Tails go into the fetal position. He deserves it though. And then we see a familiar motorcycle come out of nowhere, and Team Lilac takes care of the entire horde of enemies like it's nothing. Like, bro, they had an advantage. They could take care of them super easily. And then they start hitting their end of stage poses. Like, bro, all you did was kill a couple of enemies. If we're going by Freedom Planet 1 standards, you got 10 minutes of level left. And then Lilac asks if they need any help. And right before Eggman can answer, we get the credits. And that is the end of episode 1. Episode 1 is only like 19 minutes long, which is pretty short, all things considered. Now, there is a post-credit scene, but it's really not that interesting, and the post-credit scene shows up in episode 2, so we're just gonna go to that. So, see you in episode 2, which is way longer. Like, an hour longer. So, starting off episode 2, like I said, we're going to be going over the dub, and we get the long text intro. I'm not going to go over this, I'm going to wait till the end to go over this, because I have my theory of what this could be. But then we get the intro. Now, the intro isn't in the first part because, well, the first part was made long before the second part actually came out. But I don't really have much to dissect in the intro, besides that I think it's a really good intro. All the scenes are original scenes made for the intro, which I love. The only thing that I do want to go over is this scene with Brevin and Infinite. Now, does Brevin show up in the future? I don't know. He could not. Me personally, I think that since Brevin comes after Infinite in this little shot thing, I think that Infinite is just making an illusion like he normally does. Kind of like Syntax at the end of Freedom Planet 2, creating Brevin illusions. The main reason why I believe that Brevin isn't going to show up is because this takes place between Freedom Planet 1 and 2. And takes place after Sonic Forces, but before Sonic Frontiers. So we're not gonna get anything like Murga or anything like that, or any history on the water dragons probably, because, well, that stuff didn't happen yet. So it will be interesting to see what happens with the story going forward. Alright, let's go. So like I said before, we see the post-credits scene, which is just Infinite on the top of a mountain, and then he jumps off. That's all it is. It's really nothing too special, so nothing really here to dissect. We cut to Spade running in the latter half of Dragon Valley, and he's just chilling next to some lava, and then he sees that everything is completely wrecked, and then we see Infinite in the sky just staring him down. And let me tell you, this is probably one of the best parts of the series, if not the best part. Like, bro, Infinite and Spade just go at it, bro. It is so good, but I'm getting too ahead of myself. Spade knows that Infinite came out of the portal, and Infinite asks how does he know about the portal, and Spade just replies, well, it's all over the news, and Infinite is surprised to see that the world is much more civilized than he initially thought. Which, honestly, I didn't think of that. Like I said earlier, if you appeared in Dragon Valley, which is probably the most empty part of the entire Avalis world, you would probably think that the world is empty too. I mean, that place literally has no one in it, besides Lilac, of course. Then Spade mentions that there's an army trying to hunt down the people that came out of the portal. Then Spade mentions someone who will help out the people who came out of the portal. Now, I think we know who this is. If you've played Freedom Planet, you might know who it is, but trust me, we'll get to that. It's actually the post-credit scene of this episode. That'll take a while to get to, but we'll get to it. Anyway, Infinite denies the offer, and then Infinite says something absolutely devious, bro. Like, just look at this.
I don't have to explain myself to an inferior being like you.
Then Infinite mentions how a sensation has gone over his body and makes him feel different. He doesn't explain how it is or why it is because he doesn't even know, but he's trying to ask Spade of why this is happening. Now, I know why this is happening because I've seen this before and because I've looked too far into the lore. Anyway, we'll go over that later. Spade does the unfortunate thing of calling other people who came out of the portal friends, which Infinite, let's just say, didn't like that very much.
That's so. Alright, here's the deal. You take me to your friends first, and I'll gladly...
Those worthless insects are not my friends. Now, if you value your lousy existence, you will tell me what's causing the sensation.
And Infinite demands to know what is happening to him, and then Spade claps back ready to fight. He's got his cards out, and he looks sick doing it. And this is when we get a really nice fight. Are you ready for this? This stuff is peak, bro. My favorite part about this is the intro. Like, bro, they get ready, we get some nice close-ups, and then right as the music kicks off, Infinite just places a bomb. Now, in this fight, Infinite is literally in Minecraft creative mode. Like, bro has admin commands. He can just spawn in anything and hit Spade. After he hits him with the bomb, he hits him right into a spring just to axe kick him onto the ground. Then Infinite goes right back down to pick him up and then hit the nastiest full course meal combo, looking like a ping pong paddle right now, just going bop, 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 only to grab him mid-air with some sort of electric effect. And then he starts comboing him with himself. Like, bro duplicates himself and just starts hitting the nastiest wombo combo I've ever seen in my life. Like, bro, this is just nasty. And then right as Infinite is about to crush Spade, Spade is able to jump out of the way. But anyway, Spade is actually able to get a hit in. Infinite tries to clap back with a giant spike ball, but Spade is able to dodge it and get another hit on the back. Infinite tries to hit him with a blast, but then Spade just starts throwing cards right at his face. Spade throws more cards on the ground, and Infinite actually catches them, only for Infinite to turn around and try to throw him back, but Spade is able to dodge it because if anyone knows about cards, it's gonna be Spade. He tries to outmaneuver Infinite, and it actually works pretty well, and he's able to get Infinite on the ground deactivated. He's able to throw him and get some 1-2 combos in, but then Infinite is able to get his powers back up and floats back up. Infinite throws some of his classic cubes, and unfortunately it hits Spade. And if you've played Sonic Forces, anything can happen when you get hit by an Infinite cube. Infinite launches him up into the air with a bunch of boulders just to hit him into another boulder. They start trading on the boulders, but Infinite is able to set up just a bunch of cannons to hit him all at once. But again, Spade has that speed advantage and is able to dodge out of the way. Only for him to get hit again by the big wrecking ball from Sonic 1. Like, bro, Infinite has access to everything, bro. Get this man out of here, man. He's got admin commands. And then Infinite's like, bro, screw this. I'm just gonna drop the boulders. But Spade is able to get a safe landing with his time stop ability. Then Infinite starts approaching like he's some sort of horror movie villain and just absolutely reflecting everything Spade tries to do. But then Spade is able to take advantage of the aura farm and gets a nice hit in. And we actually see blood dripping off of Spade's card. Now, like I said in the intro, I actually do think this is the perfect amount of edginess. This isn't too far, this isn't too much. We see Infinite's head, but if you know anything about Infinite, he's the master of illusions. He's obviously not dead. Now, let me just take a moment to appreciate the music, bro. Right as Infinite's back up, we get more of that guitar solo that just goes absolutely crazy with the lava rising, and then we see his face. Like, bro, it is just absolutely peak fishing just how this works, and everything is just awesome and amazing. Just seeing his face in the silhouette with the scary face and the lava. Oh, it's awesome, man. Infinite is able to take Spade off guard and blast him with a nice giant beam cannon. Now, this cannon is actually from Freedom Planet, so what I'm guessing is Infinite was able to take advantage of Spade's memories and use it against him in the fight, which is crazy because he was originally only using Sonic weapons, but now he used a Freedom Planet weapon now that he knew Spade's memories. But that's just a theory, a Freedom Fighter's theory. But Infinite is still not done. He throws Spade onto the ground just to hit him right in the back really hard. Then he throws him into the air with a giant sword spike and then axe kicks him right back onto the ground. And then he flips the gravity and starts juggling him off the ground. Like, bro, chill, bro. And then to end it off, Infinite has a giant blast just right at his face. And then we hear the blast. We don't see it, but we hear it. And we already know that this fight is wraps. Overall, this fight is absolutely amazing. Literally, it is perfect. It is a great introduction to Infinite and how he can use his illusions, and it doesn't undermine Spade. We still see that Spade has some really good abilities. He's just not quite powerful enough to take out Infinite. So it keeps Infinite's threat level of, yeah, he's a threat, but it also makes it so Spade isn't completely useless at the same time. And the animation is absolutely stellar. Like, we have awesome scenes. I love the fact that Infinite just spawns things in before he actually goes melee. He only attacks Spade with melee attacks a couple of times, and I love that. Now, after the fight, Infinite picks up Spade and is like, well, now are we going to cooperate? And Spade is still smack talking, bro. Like, bro, you lost. Give it up already. And then Infinite just laughs in his face. And honestly, bro, Spade, you might need to put on fraud watch after this. Now, here's something very interesting that Infinite says. He says, I have no will to put carnage upon your world, and I will happily take my leave once I've achieved my objective. Now, this is very interesting because Infinite is not the type to want to destroy all worlds. He just kind of wants to conquer and be the most powerful, it seems, in this series. So, we'll see what he means by this as the series goes on. He probably just wants to kill Sonic or something. Who knows? At this point in the series, Infinite's motives are still kind of unclear, but again, we'll see later on. And then Spade still tries to fight back, and he tries to get a free swing onto Infinite. Bro, cut it out. It is not gonna work. And then Infinite just starts flexing his speed on him and starts dash dancing back and forth just to hit him again. Like, bro, Spade, give it up, bro. You're on fraud watch. It's whatever. Then Infinite drops the most nerdy line I've ever seen in my entire life.
How ironic a fool like you deals a deck with no jokers. I'll leave you to your card tricks.
And then he dips. But actually, he didn't dip. He comes crashing back onto the ground as his powers are slowly deactivating. It seems that his powers right now are very inconsistent in how they work because he's kind of struggling right now. But right before it cuts away, we see that Spade is still breathing, so he's still alive. Obviously, they wouldn't kill off Spade. Then we cut to Lilac's treehouse where Sonic is just laying down, and it appears that he's gotten a new Sprite since the last episode. Sonic gets up and then instantly gets jump scared by Mila, but honestly, if I saw Mila the first thing I woke up to, I'd be scared too. She is so powerful, bro. Do you know what she's capable of? Another cool detail I would like to point out in this room is they got the Ninja Hulk poster. They also got a picture of the entire gang with Torque. Like, that's just adorable, bro. Absolutely peak fiction. Turns out Mila isn't here to create mass bloodshed like she normally is here for. She's here to give Sonic some petals, you know, those little health petal things. I don't know their official name, and I'm too lazy to Google it. To heal Sonic because, you know, he was hurt. And then we get one of the funniest moments in the entire episode.
If you rub them on any ouchies, they'll make them feel all better.
If you say so. Thanks.
You're welcome. I'm glad it could help.
Wait, who even are you?
I think the dub makes this even better. The way Sonic says, "Wait, who even are you?" is just amazing, bro. I love it. Absolutely peak fiction. Then Mila makes the best face I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, sometimes I be making this face for real. Then we cut to Lilac explaining the Freedom Planet lore to Amy. Now, obviously, if you've played Freedom Planet, we already know this, but not everyone has played Freedom Planet who is watching this. Which, if you're watching this video right now and you have not played Freedom Planet, please do yourself a favor, Alt F4 right now, go to Steam and pick up Freedom Planet right now. It is literally one of the best games ever made and criminally underrated. That's what this YouTube channel is for. Also, Lilac talks about Discord, so that means that there's Discord in Avalis. Hopefully there's no Minecraft YouTube. Also, again, I'm gonna say this a lot, but can I point out how Amy literally sounds like her official voice actress? Same with Lilac. Like, bro, did you just get Dawn and Bennett to play this? Like, what are we doing here, man? Like, this is crazy.
Of Shui Gong and manipulated the prince, using him to create discord throughout Avalis.
That's horrible! How can he do such a thing?
You think he cared what happened to us? Avalis was just some tool to him.
Also, I was today years old when I found out that Dawn M. Bennett has a DeviantArt account, or at least had one, and had a picture of Lilac and Spade shipping fan art that she made. And now I can't find it, and I think it might be lost media. So, yeah, that's a thing. And then Tails compares the plot of Freedom Planet to Sonic Forces. I mean, obviously, they're very similar plots. I don't think anyone really realizes how similar the plots are between those two games, but I think we all know which one had the better plot. I mean, I'm just saying, they said that they tortured Sonic and they didn't have the balls to show it. But I'm just saying, Freedom Planet is right front and center. Just saying, guys, just saying. But then right as Lilac is going to realize that Eggman is the true villain, Sonic appears and everyone just starts worrying over him and glazing him like, bro. Amy and Tails literally glaze Sonic all day, bro. Like, that's all they do, bro. It's crazy. Then again, Tails is about to mention the mistake he made, but it gets cut off again. Like, bro, can we just find out what it was, please? And then the Freedom Planet characters all introduce each other to Sonic. It's great. Nice reunion here. It's amazing. Sonic says, "Real nice to meet you guys," even though literally half the people in this room are women. Like, Sonic, can you use your brain for a bit? This is a joke. Don't take it seriously. Obviously, I know that Sonic uses that in a gender-neutral term. Please don't use that. Like, and then Lilac tells them that they saved everyone from the robots and stuff. And I know Sonic's gotta be seething right now because usually he's the one saving other people. Like, if this was Boom Sonic, you know he'd be tweaking right now. And then Carol accidentally leaks the information that they were on TV. Gosh darn it, Carol, you stupid furball! Then Eggman questions how much they saw on TV, which I think is a pretty reasonable thing to ask. And as I'm writing this, I just realized this is the first time the Freedom Planet gang has probably seen a human. They probably have no idea what he is, bro. They're probably shook right now. Then Lilac mentions that the people that saw the Sonic characters come out of the portal said that one of them ran off with some sort of red magic. And obviously that implies Infinite, and Sonic knows as such. And then they start explaining who Infinite is. I'm going to skip this because I assume you already know what Infinite is. But again, for the plot convenience, they have to explain it here just in case you don't know. Unlike Freedom Planet, I'm not going to beg you to play Sonic Forces because it's Sonic freaking Forces. Why would you play that? And then they drop that Eggman is actually their arch nemesis, which just is a great reaction, bro. Like, they really just have the dude that took over their entire world just chilling in a treehouse.
You'd think he'd eventually learn it never ends well for him, even if he managed to take over our world for a bit.
Take over your world? What are you...
Your world is in ruin because of him?
Oh, right. Yeah. He's kind of our arch nemesis. Did we forget to mention that?
Seriously? So you guys, like, hate each other?
Yeah, pretty much.
Also, can I add, how in the world do they all fit in this thing? Like, bro, how is that treehouse not just crumbling down? That must be the strongest wood ever. And then right as Eggman's about to continue talking, he gets interrupted again, which is hilarious because it's from Nira. Again, I'm gonna say this a lot. Nira literally sounds like how she does in the games. How? How is this possible? Like, it's actually kind of insane.
Sash Lilac, Carol T, Mila Bassett. I have some questions for you three.
And then of course Carol is like, yeah, this is karma. And honestly, I think I agree with Carol here, man. This is definitely deserved for Lilac. Then Lilac says they gotta act natural when talking to Nira, and Carol pulls off the most obvious thing ever, bro. Like, this is almost as bad as that one meme where the guy says that he's surprised that someone stole 20 cars.
Eric, they stole 21 cars. Can you believe that?
What? 21 cars? What? They could have gave me a car. 21 cars? What they gonna do? How they gonna drive 21 cars?
At once.
Right, that's crazy.
Hey, Nira, long time no see. How you been? Is that a new spear? Looks a lot more, pointy.
Then Nira is like, I already know they're in your house. But then she pulls the oldest trick in the book, saying, relax, you're not in trouble, just to freeze them, bro. Like, dude, this is the oldest trick in the entire book, and I can't believe Carol fell for it, bro. Like, come on, Carol. You should know better than this. But right as Nira walks into the bedroom, we get a can be continued cut. This is amazing. I love this, bro. Now, obviously, the episode isn't over, but this is a great meme. We should bring these memes back. Then we cut to Spade just laying down, acting like a fraud, but then he finally gets up when we see the GOAT. The absolute GOAT. Not from Freedom Planet. Shadow the Hedgehog, bro. This is my second favorite Sonic character. You already know. Let's go. And then we get the most underrated Shadow theme from Shadow 05, bro. This theme goes so crazy.
Named Shadow. And you are?
Call me Spade.
And let me just say this right now, Shadow's voice is incredibly underrated. He sounds like Batman. I can definitely see how it's kind of a Batman vibe, and honestly, I kind of love it. I would love if Shadow sounded like this in the official games. I think that Shadow's character matches Batman really well. Might be why they're doing a DC collab with him, but anyway, it just sounds so good. I would love if Shadow sounded more like Batman. But also, I'm fine with the official voice actor they have for it now. Then they start talking, and Shadow asks about Infinite. Spade is too embarrassed to admit that he got his butt beat by Infinite. But then he realizes that Shadow is from the portal, and we get the best dialogue I've ever seen. Like, this is so good. Just listen to this, bro.
I'm sure you've heard about that portal, right? Had the honor of meeting one of the aliens that came through it. If the other five are anything like him, we may have quite the...
What did he want with you?
What's it matter to you? You know the guy or...
You're from the portal.
Am I? Good for me. Now again, what did he want with you?
Yeah, I know. Shadow just doesn't care. I love this, bro. Shadow is written so well. Oh my god! Finally a good written Shadow in a fanfiction. Like, dude, it's actually crazy how many people don't know how to write Shadow, and I'm not dissing anyone. I know. Shadow is a very controversial character to write, but this is literally perfect, bro. This is my GOAT right here. Then Spade proceeds to threaten Shadow, but Shadow is just not phased. And like I said, bro, this is my GOAT! And then Spade's like, all right, I'll talk. And he talks about how when he met Infinite, he kept talking about a weird sensation. And Spade says that he might know what it is, but we don't get to see what Spade told Shadow. I have an idea of what it is, but I'm not going to tell you until later in the video when I start going over dissecting the plot and what the future of the series holds. So you'll just have to wait for that. And then Spade offers a team up with Shadow. He can get them some help. We obviously probably know who that is, but Shadow says that he'll do it. And then Spade says that he wants a rematch with the Masked Clown. That's a reference to Sonic Forces when Sonic said that, so I like that reference there. And then Shadow's like, alright, whatever, I'll team up with you. And then we cut back to Lilac's treehouse where Eggman is explaining the Phantom Ruby and Infinite to Nira. Amy apologizes that she whacked her on the head. Nira is like, it's understandable. Luckily, there's no hard feelings. And then Nira asks why they were trying to be secret about it. And Lilac's like, well, we kind of broke the law of the mandate and we kind of went outside anyway. Make sure COVID never breaks out on Avalis, bro, because they're not following these rules, man. And then Carol mentions Frieza, so that means that Frieza is going to come down and destroy all of Avalis and then go...
You got that right. But did you really need to freeze us?
And then Eggman mentions the generators and the plot of Sonic Forces and how Sonic destroyed them and it was what powered the Ruby and stuff like that, you know, classic Sonic Forces stuff. Then Sonic mentions how they beat Infinite, and then Nero's like, why didn't you capture him or apprehend him? And Sonic's like, I wish we could have, but you know, he kind of mysteriously disappeared. Honestly, I really hope they explain this very well because, dude, that ending to Infinite is probably the most confusing ending in any Sonic game ever. Like, bro, what happened? He just disappeared. And then Lilac says that she kind of knows how they feel because, you know, Brevin kind of mysteriously went away when they beat him. Then Nira asks why they chose their world to come to, and Amy's like, we didn't really choose. And Tails is like, well, we were investigating an underground bunker. Then the stuff from the first episode happened. And then Mila says that the Chaos Emeralds sound like the Kingdom Stone, and Eggman kind of erupts. Eggman mentions that he was testing the Chaos Emeralds and what they could do with the Phantom Ruby, and how the Phantom Ruby, when interacting with the Chaos Emeralds, the Phantom Ruby will just turn off. Then they explain that the Kingdom Stone is now the Kingdom Spiral and that it will probably affect the Phantom Ruby in some way. So now that we know this, I can finally say it's pretty clear that Infinite is probably getting his powers disabled randomly because of the Kingdom Spiral. That's probably what is happening. I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. I think that's what we can all gather from this. Then Nira is like, we gotta go tell the Magister about this, but Sonic says no, because he said 6 people came out of the portal, and you know what that means? Shadow. So he's gonna go look for Shadow. But again, Amy gets cut off when she's about to mention something about Shadow and Tails, and bro, what did this fox do? What is his mistake right now? Like, what did he do, bro? I want to know this. Then Lilac appears saying, are you just gonna run out into a world you know nothing about? And Sonic's like, yeah. And then Lilac's like, all right, I'm coming with you, bro. And honestly, I'm all down for this. I love me a nice Sonic and Lilac team up. Every time in a Sprite animation, I see Sonic and Lilac, they're always fighting. Like, bro, why do they fight? Okay, I need to go on a tangent about this. Why in the world, every time there's a Sprite animation with Sonic and Lilac, they fight? Every single time. Now, I know there's probably some obscure instances that you could probably name, but almost every single time they're fighting. And it's so annoying because they wouldn't fight. Why would they fight? Whatever. All right, let's continue. Sonic is like, are you sure you'll be able to keep up? And Lilac's like, well, have you ever raced a dragon before? And Sonic's like, no, I haven't. I swear, there's gotta be a point where Sonic was running with the dragon. There's no way in this entire franchise that Sonic has not interacted with a dragon or raced a dragon at some point. I know there's gotta be somewhere where he's raced a dragon, whether if it's in some non-canon iteration or some obscure trailer or something. There's gotta be somewhere where Sonic is running with the dragon. I refuse to believe it. The closest thing I can think of off the top of my head is Dragon Road from Sonic Unleashed. That's the only thing I can think of, but there's gotta be something else. And then Sonic and Lilac start the biggest ego battle I've ever seen in my entire life, saying, you're in for a real treat. And then Sonic's like, if you say so, just don't get too upset when you start falling behind. And Lilac's like, I could say the same to you. Like, bro, the ego right now is through the roof. Like, you can literally see it. There's so much ego right now. And then Nira is like, no point in trying to stop them anyway. And Amy and Carol are like, I know, right? Then the rest of Team Lilac and Amy and Tails and Eggman go onto Mayor Zhao's luxurious sky palace to Shang 2. Then after some dialogue, we get one of the best parts of the entire episode. I know I've said that a million times, but anyway, Sonic and Lilac just racing, bro. Again, the ego levels is absolutely off the charts. Like literally, you can see the ego right now. Sonic takes care of some robots and Lilac dashes way ahead of him. They keep smirking at each other saying that they're faster than each other. Again, the ego levels, my guy. Lilac is not a character that usually shows too much ego. She shows it a little bit, but Sonic really took the ego out of Lilac really hard here. But just like Icarus flying too close to the sun, Lilac trips on a pebble. A pebble! Lilac, I thought you were a professional runner. You're not supposed to be tripping on rocks. Lilac tries to play it off, but I think we all know that she's completely embarrassed. I mean, dude, you tripped on a pebble, my guy. Like, wrap it up, bro. Your career is over. Then Lilac realizes everything is in ruin around them. Now, we know what this is from. This is from the Infinite fight, but they don't know that, obviously. Then Lilac sees one of Spade's cards on the ground, again confirming that this is from the Infinite and Spade fight. But then we see one of Brevin's robots just absolutely jump on this one dude just chilling there. And we already know what's about to go down. This is gonna be some prime fighting action right here. Then we see the Brevin robot just absolutely staring at the dude. He is pissed that Brevin left him behind. Like, bro, you should have left with him, my guy. No reason why you were all the way in Dragon Valley. But then we get probably the most interesting part of the animation. Let's just say if there's any strippers watching this video, please spare me.
Okay. Anyhow, we've stood around here long enough. Let's crank it back up and...
I made that at 5 a.m. I'm losing my mind. After that scene that no one cared about, the robot appears and is just seething, getting flashbacks from when Lilac was fighting Brevin, literally having PTSD from when this dragon fought Brevin, bro. He is mad. Then the Brevin robot starts attaching tubes to his arms and legs, ready to power up, and then he uses his gun to kind of absorb something from out of the sky. Lilac mentions that the energy might be, and then gets cut off again before he insanely powers up like he's going Super Saiyan. Now, here's my theory on what this is. I know this is kind of random, but I just want to mention it now. It looked like he was absorbing energy using his gun from the air. What just happened that Nira just mentioned? The Kingdom Spiral and energy flowing throughout the land. So that would mean that he was absorbing the energy from the Kingdom Stone to use to power up. Then the robot charges a massive blast, but right before he gets to fire it, we cut over to the airship. Eggman is playing Clash of Clans, but right as he's booting up the game, Tails has to walk down and ruin his Clash of Clans session, bro. Like, bro, he's trying to get level 20 Town Hall. You can't be doing that, bro. That sounded stupid. It's because I haven't played Clash of Clans in years. I thought the max level was 20, but it's actually 17. I feel so stupid. Oh my god. Tails comes down to get a nap, but then he's not unable to sleep because he keeps trying to butt heads with Eggman. Like, he's having some serious arguments right now. This is giving me some Lost World vibes with these arguments, man. And then Carol comes down saying that Amy wanted to know if everything is good in here, and it is. So, she just dips. Tails, you're a liar, bro. You were about to absolutely go ham on Eggman. Then Mila mentions how she doesn't like Tails and Eggman arguing, and Amy's like, Tails isn't really normally like this, you know? It's really not him to be like this. And then right as Amy is turning around, Carol is falling asleep. I didn't notice this until I rewatched this recently. Carol was literally falling asleep. You can't be doing this, Carol. Then we get definitely the best scene in this entire thing. I am not even kidding. This scene is absolutely perfect in every single way. This is like Mechasonic I'll Crush You levels of just insanity. Just watch this for yourself, bro. It is so good.
We were pretty awesome. You really missed out.
No need to rub it in. You know, once this is all over, I hope we get a chance to hang out. You guys are pretty cool.
I would love that! It would be so fun!
Oh, I'm sure it would be. But I hate to break it to you, ladies. I'm not sure the afterlife works that way.
That is the hardest line I have ever heard Infinite say. Infinite is officially not on Fraud Watch in this series, bro. He is just a menace. This is like Sukuna, Goku Black levels of just menacing, bro. And that's what I love about Infinite's character here, is that he is just a threat that you gotta deal with. Comparing this to Mechasonic from Super Mario Bros. Z, it is on point, where every time this man shows up, you know something is about to go down or something is about to happen. And that's why I love Infinite so much in this series. But it's also balanced really well by not making him completely overpowered because, you know, his whole deactivating thing. Then Infinite mentions how he's gone past the threshold that he needs and now he's going to destroy them all. Now, Eggman mentioned something about how he already knew about this, and I have no idea what Infinite is talking about. Probably something we'll get in episode 3 or expanded upon in the future. And then Infinite just starts crashing out about how he's going to destroy them all and how he's gonna make them feel a fraction of the pain he lives with. Just, you know, your typical Infinite edgy stuff.
I will finish what I started. And when I do...
Your resistance, along with anyone who dares stand against me, will be mangled beyond recognition. I will shatter your spirits, destroying everything you hold dear. Maybe you'll feel a fraction of the pain I live with.
And we even get a bit of the Slender Man sound effect, which I think honestly kind of works here. And then Carol tries to hit him, but Infinite just gets her with a backhand. Like, bro, don't even try. Where did I see a backhand like that before? No, not again. Not again. Not again. And then Nira slides down and tries to hit him, and we get the coolest shot of Nira I've ever seen, just pouncing, but it's not enough, and Infinite is able to dodge it. But we see that Nira is desperate to get this man arrested and behind bars, saying how he's under arrest. Nira means business here, man. Really cool to see this here. And let me just tell you, this is probably the most intense and cool scene, as we got everyone staring at him, and we got this awesome music. It is so nice, bro. I love this scene so much. Infinite says, well, if you're that eager to throw your lives away, instantly jumps up, and yeah, this part is kind of crazy. Just watch.
Surrender. Now!
Well, if you're that eager to throw your lives away...
We get an immediate cut right after he shoots some cannons to Sonic and Lilac throwing hands with the Brevin robot, as we have a simultaneous fight going on at the same time. This is some crazy, awesome pacing. I love the way this is done. It's synced up with the music, and it's just so peak. Just, look at this, bro. The robot fires some lasers, but Sonic's able to dodge it and again sync up his homing attacks with the music, dude. It's so good. The robot pins down Sonic as he's just spinning in a ball, but Lilac comes in with the sneak attack and is able to bounce off the hand to hit him. Like, bro, this is craziness. They're able to knock it down and Sonic walks up to it, but it's still alive, and it picks up Sonic by the leg and absolutely throws him, and the music kicks right back up again. The robot shoots one giant laser and a bunch of little mini lasers at the same time. Lilac trips again, come on, bro, and Sonic and Lilac grab each other and they do the Sonic 4 super spin move. I don't know what it's called, but they do it and it looks insane. I don't know if this is a reference to Sonic 4, but honestly, this was probably one of my favorite abilities in Sonic 4. I know Sonic 4 is not really a good game, but this was a really cool ability that they had and kind of underrated, to be honest. And then they're able to take out the robot really easily, and they're just left shocked of what happened. Then Sonic says one of the most Sonic lines I've ever seen in my life.
No kidding. We shredded through that thing like it was nothing.
You know what they say, teamwork makes the dream work.
You know what they say, all toasters toast toast.
They high-five, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows yet, as we gotta cut back to Infinite. But not before Lilac picks up a gun trying to be like Shadow. You already know we're gonna get that Shadow the Hedgehog 2005 Lilac game where she has a gun and she shoots people. That's gonna be the best game ever made. It's gonna come out probably tomorrow, so be ready for that. But like I said, we cut back to Infinite, and Infinite is just soloing the entire cast like it's nothing, bro. Then we get them all jumping them at once, but just like Scourge and Super All-Star Bros, it means nothing. Nero tries to freeze him and get him hit by his own spike ball, but it doesn't mean much because Infinite, he's got that high durability stat. He can take care of ice no problem. Now let me just play this next moment because it is just crazy. So much stuff is happening at once, I can't even say it all. But I won't lie, Team Lilac did put up a pretty good fight. They were doing pretty well. But then we get probably the craziest scene of this entire series. I keep saying that, I know, I sound like a broken record, but just trust me, this is crazy. Yeah, we got that Infinite.exe right there, taking out Mila. Craziness, I know, but honestly, this is better than Sonic.exe ever was. I know I'm gonna get hate for that. Eggman says, as your creator, I forbid you from attacking, but Infinite does not like that. He's like, you're not my creator. He's like, bro, I ain't associated with you anymore. Infinite takes one last look at Mila just absolutely decimated on the floor, and we get a scene that's crazy. He gets reminded of his old jackal friends that he used to have, and his old sword is in his hand. And then his powers deactivate. He doesn't know how the sword got there, I assume, because, dude, you don't just create a sword out of thin air. His illusions must be working against him in this case. Then Carol probably makes the biggest mistake you could ever make when you're talking to Infinite. She says, geez, talk about weak. Now, if you say the word weak, you have just messed up. That is Infinite's trigger word. He is just gonna go absolutely ham, and that's exactly what he does.
What's the matter, Masky Mask? Tired already? Jeez, talk about weak.
Me? Weak?
I want to talk about in this scene, we hear Omega saying I am not weak from the Shadow DLC of Sonic Forces. That's a really cool touch. I really like that. But Infinite gets really mad at this. He jumps into the sky and takes a page off of Mecha Sonic's book and creates a giant sun in the sky. But Nira has not given up. She tells Eggman to overclock every engine on the ship. Everyone is freaking out, going crazy. But then right as Infinite is about to throw the giant sun, his powers deactivate and he comes crashing all the way down. But when Infinite comes crashing to the ground, he hits the quote thermal oscillator, whatever that is, and without it, the ship starts to crash. And it looks like we're gonna get what happened in Freedom Planet 1, where the ship crashes and they're gonna have to make their way back to Shang 2 manually. But then right as it's about to crash, we get "Can Be Continued," and that is where the series ends. Now there is a post-credit scene, so I will be going over that, so let's cut over to that. We cut to Shui Gong, where the prince is. Spade walks up to his brother, and his soldiers obviously are going to shoot him, but Prince is like, don't do it, because he's my brother. Anyway, he walks up to them. Prince Dale is like, yo, what happened to you? Spade is like, I got beat up, but I'll tell you more about it later. Prince Dale asks if his mission was a success. His mission, obviously, to be to locate the Sonic characters. And he says that he was only able to bring back one, and Shadow just teleports onto the scene. But then Prince Dale is like, finally at long last, and then it cuts out. Looks like Prince Dale is still a little bit of evil in him. I don't think he's fully not evil yet, so we'll see how this goes. This will be very interesting to see how he's going to be not evil at the end of this, if you get what I mean. So now that we've gone over the entire story up to this point, I want to go over what I think will happen in the future, as there's still a lot of unanswered questions I want to address. The first thing I want to get into is the text intro. This is very interesting as we see that there is a young child with his father. We find out that the child's mother is dead, and he only lives with his father, and presumably he's the only one the child cares about. We also find out that the child is trying to learn some sword technique but can't quite get it right, and his father helps him. Now, initially when I was thinking about characters with a backstory involving their parents, I instantly thought of Mila, but then I realized that the child is a male, so it can't be Mila. And then I thought about it even more, and now I'm pretty sure I know who it is. Like, I'm 99% sure. I am pretty sure it's Infinite. I think it's very clear that it's him. Infinite actually used to use a sword, and we even see that in the actual episode. And his backstory is very mysterious, and we don't really know much about it besides the Jackal Squad. And I think, again, there's not a lot of characters that use a sword in Sonic or in Freedom Planet. The only other one you could possibly say is Brevin, but I highly, highly, highly doubt it is Brevin. Brevin just is barely in the story at all for me to say that it's him. I also think it's Infinite because we don't know much about Infinite's backstory, so I think it could be really cool to expand upon the Jackal Squad and maybe find out how he met them and stuff like that, as there's a lot you could do with Infinite. Infinite's character has a lot of potential. So if I were to bet money on it, I'd bet that it's Infinite and his father. Now, moving on to the actual characters themselves, like I said, this story is peak fiction. I really do think that it is literally perfect. Every character is perfect, and I will go over that. I like how Lilac has still a cocky side while not being a complete Sonic clone. I like how Sonic acts like how he does in IDW, which is one of my favorite interpretations of Sonic, don't at me. I love how Mila is still kind of shy, but starting to come out of her shell a little bit, like how she is in Freedom Planet 2, but she's in that in-between stage. I love how Carol is a loose cannon and laughs at Sonic's jokes and still acts like herself. And Amy, well, honestly, Amy's probably one of my least favorite characters. But that doesn't mean that she's bad, I just don't really have much to say about her. She hasn't really done much in the series or said much in the series for me to really think much about her. The only thing I would like to see from her is really a team up with Lilac and Amy could be really cool. I think that would be a really cool team up. And then let's get into the actual character of Infinite. Like I said, Infinite is just amazing. He's a terror throughout the entire series. Whenever he shows up, you know something is about to happen. And like I said, I love his fire lines to go with it. It is such a good villain. Like, this is how you do a villain. When he shows up randomly, you know the plot is about to get flipped on its head. And that is what I love about Infinite, is that he is such a terror and you're supposed to take him seriously. But he's not an absolute monster, like how Mecha Sonic is in Super Mario Bros. Z. And that's what I love about him, is it's not another Mecha Sonic. A lot of Sprite animations just love to add another Mecha Sonic or another Metallix or another Metalix. It's actually someone different this time and not another Sonic clone. And like I said, Mecha Sonic is great. I think he's awesome, but there is a time and place where, alright guys, we're done with those guys. I love how Martinez IV actually makes Infinite an original villain, and that's what I love about it, is he takes advantage of that character that has the most amount of potential of any Sonic villain ever, like, period. You think of a Sonic villain that has potential, you think of Infinite. Metal Sonic got his potential before, Mephiles got his potential before, he fused into Solaris, but Infinite is the only one who just fell off the face of the planet, and that is why Infinite has so much potential for a story like this, especially in a multiverse story, because the Phantom Ruby in Sonic Forces is just so mysterious and we don't really know much about it, that there's so much story that could be expanded upon with it. And that is why I love Infinite in this series. Another reason why I love this series so much is it really breaks the mold. For instance, Knuckles isn't here. Now, I love Knuckles, everyone loves Knuckles, he's a fan favorite, but he shows up in almost every single one of these. And I love Knuckles, man, he's a great character, and he fits well with this type of series. But I love that Amy actually gets the spotlight here, because usually in these Sprite animations, Amy is just off to the side, maybe a joke character, or maybe a plot device that like, oh, I gotta go save Amy because she's in trouble. So it actually, she's a part of the actual story, and she probably will get actual fights. And I'm pretty sure Knuckles will show up in the future. I think Martinez IV actually did tease Knuckles in his Q&A. So I'm excited for that when he shows up, but again, I like that Amy is more prominent than him. Now let's talk about another character, Shadow. Shadow is an absolutely great character. I love how he's really I love how he's really dry and cutthroat, and he really acts like himself. Like I said when I was going over the story, I love his voice actor. He just sounds like Batman, and honestly, I want Shadow to sound more like Batman. After hearing this sounds awesome. I love the voice direction with this here. It just sounds so great, and I think it fits Shadow's character so well. That might even be why they're doing a DC collab with Batman, because honestly, it's great. I think it sounds amazing. Another character that is written really, really well is Spade. Spade is really good. He acts just like how he acts in the games. You can never trust him, but you also gotta love him at the same time. Even though he's the biggest jerk, but you still gotta love him. I'm very interested to see why Prince Dale is still evil, or at least teased to be evil, because he doesn't have red eyes anymore. And if you played Freedom Planet, Brevin controlled Prince Dale throughout the entirety of that game. So I'll be interested to see of why Prince Dale is teased to be evil a little bit at the end there. So yeah, that was my analysis of every single character. Wait, I feel like I'm forgetting someone. Oh, yeah, that's right, Tails. Now, don't take this as me thinking Tails' character is bad. I really don't think his characterization is bad. Like I said, I think that every single character in here is good, and I don't think there is a bad written character. I just think that just the one problem I have with Tails is a really big problem. And that is that they're dragging out the mystery of Tails and his, quote, mistake that he made. I think it is dragged on way too long, and I think we should know what it is by now. If we don't know what it is by episode 3, that's going to be a problem, because it's affecting his character. It's not making him a bad character, but is making him very out of character. And if you're a Tails fan, you might be kind of disappointed by him, because he's not acting like his normally bubbly self. So I'd rather get the reason why he's acting like this sooner rather than later, so we know why this is happening. Not just something happened and he's down about it. I want to know why this is happening, so we can relate to him and understand why he's feeling this way. And maybe we could dive even more into that character. And just to end it off here with the character section, of course, Eggman, he's a masterpiece. Like always, it's impossible to write Eggman badly. He's great. Now I want to get into some of the negatives, and let me see. No. Oh. No, that's not negative. Yeah. Here we go. So I kind of don't love the pacing in the second episode. The first episode is fine. It kind of drags on a little with the whole Lilac and Mila pranking Carol bit, but it's still enjoyable. The second episode, though, there's a lot of explanation of stuff that you would already know if you've played the game. Now, I will say, not everyone has probably played Freedom Planet that has watched this. Same for Sonic. Not everyone has played Sonic Forces who has watched this. But I do want to say this is in that niche area of a community, so you probably do know at least a little bit about it. And I will say the dub does make this better, as it's more fun to hear it being explained to you than to have to read it all. So the dub makes this way, way, way better. Every time I rewatch this series, I always watch the dub, because it makes this part of the episode way, way better to sit through. I think a better alternative, and I'm just spitballing here, this isn't really a perfect alternative, there's probably more you could do with this, is in action scenes or while stuff is happening, we get little lore dumps casually dropped that would help the viewers who don't know much about these two franchises to understand what the lore is. Or maybe we could have a heart-to-heart moment after something bad happened, like, say, for instance, after Team Lilac fought Serpentine in the first game and they split up. We could have a moment like that where they kind of lore dump some things and not have it all explained to us at once. Though I will say I do kind of like that it's explained to us all at once, so it won't be re-explained in the future, hopefully. So we can get that over with now, and we can get to the new stuff in the third episode and going forward all the way to the 7th, because there will be 7 episodes of this. So like I said, overall, that's my only negative I have with this series, is the pacing is a little bad, and I'm not someone who is a big pacing guy. I don't really care about pacing that much. I'm not someone who goes crazy over the pacing. I just thought it kind of dragged on a little bit there, and I wish it was done a little bit better, and it probably could have been explained better. But in the grand scheme of things, it's very minor, and it probably won't have much impact on the future of this series. I just wanted to put it out there because it's really the only negative I have with this series. So yeah, that was the entirety of Freedom Fighters and everything I wanted to say. Everything I said up to this point, I've said it all. Now, I do want to end off with this. I love that Freedom Planet has 2 big Sprite animation series. I love Super All-Star Bros, and while I hate how the Freedom Planet characters are represented, and y'all know that, it's still amazing and I love that it's out there. And Super All-Star Bros has 1 million views. 1 million people saw Freedom Planet if they haven't up to that point, which is amazing. And I love Freedom Fighters because it really takes advantage of those characters in a way that makes it feel special. I've said this before in different places, but Lilac, Carol, and Mila are some of my favorite characters in fiction, and how they're written together is some of the best ever. And seeing them represented so well like this really warms my heart and makes me just want Freedom Planet 3 even more. Same with the Sonic characters. Now, there are a lot of Sonic sprite animations out there, but still, it's a good thing because, well, these characters are also written just as well. So that's why I love this series so much, is that it represents the characters in a literal perfect light without having that fan fiction-esque feel to it where they feel like they're out of character. And that is what I love so much about this series, is that it feels like an absolute love letter to both of these franchises without overstepping its boundary and with actually taking risks. I love this series so much, and it makes me love Freedom Planet even more. I hate to go on a tangent about Freedom Planet, but like I said, Freedom Planet 2 and Freedom Planet 1 are some of my most favorite games of all time. Freedom Planet 2 actually being my favorite. And to see this franchise not get the love and attention it deserves when it is the most underrated game of all time, it really hurts to see that. So when I found out that Freedom Fighters was a thing, I instantly hopped on it as soon as I could. I think it really takes advantage of those characters and how it is an indie game, but also it is special in the way that Sonic is. It shows that these characters, yeah, they're very similar, but they're not similar in the way where they just carbon copies of each other like people like to say. And that is what I love about this franchise so much, is that they bounce off of each other perfectly for a collab. Freedom Planet is literally built for a Sonic collab. It is literally built for Sonic. And that is why I think that more people need to take advantage of this. And more people need to watch this. So, anyways, guys, I'm gonna end it off like how I ended off the All-Star Bros review. This series shows that you can make something great, some great fan content, or even original content. And yeah, it might not be perfect sometimes, but as long as you're making it and you're having fun, it doesn't matter what other people say. As long as it doesn't hurt other people, then go ahead, make it. Make that fan content, take advantage of your creativity, and just like Sonic, you might get recognized by the people who actually make the series. But until next time, I'll see y'all later. Goodbye.
all will tremble before me.
Your skills are no match for me.
Now we start off in some sort of facility. So we start off in some sort of facility. Oh my God, why can't I say that? He says that the he says that the electromagnetic. That was close. And then Lilac asks if. Oh God, not Lilac asks. Oh God. Okay. And then Lilac asks if it will. I need a drink of water. Then Spade mentions that there's an army ready to hunt those. Then Spade mentions that there's an army ready to hunt the new people. Then Spade mentions that there's an army trying to hunt down the. Oh my God! Then Spade mentions that there is an army trying to hunt down Sonic. Oh my God, my dogs. Dude. Hopefully that's not being... If that's being picked up, I'm gonna be so pissed off. Then Infinite mentions how he's gone past the threshold. Or some... Then Infinite... Deep breath. Alright.